Hey everybody, welcome back. This week I'm going to show you how to install zippers. It's one of the easiest things to do that people fear the most. This is just a simple little sort of pencil case, or I use it for holding, bills or money, doing a market or what have you. Super simple design, and it's got a zipper. I'm going to show you how to use Riri brand zippers. They're one of the easiest. The nice thing too is they come in a continuous tape like this, so you can choose your own size. There's all kinds of different little zippers that you can get, and then you of course like installing the end stops and whatnot. So it's gonna switch angles, and let's get down to it. Check this stuff out though. How beautiful is that? Buckle Guy carries this, or OA Leather Supply if you're in Canada. They also ship worldwide. I don't think they have these rainbow teeth. I just wanted to use them because it's a little bit easier to see on camera. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so I'm not going to release a pattern or anything. This is very simple and y'all can figure it out pretty easily. It's about 7.25 inches by 8.5, and then all I did was went in the center 5/8 of an inch in from either side and marked a 1/2 inch. I'm going to be using a 1/2 inch punch, and then just connecting the lines. Super simple. Like I said, this is just a personal one I made a couple years ago, and I just wanted to use it again just to show you guys how to do a zipper. So having said that, let's go. I think I'm just going to have this really cool Horween crocodile, whatever, print sitting around. It's just an embossed leather. I got it from an OA auction. So I'm just going to cut a little more manageable piece out of this to use. Chuck the rest off to the side. Okay, so for something like this too, just with the embossed surface on the front, I find it's a lot easier to mark out the back side. So I'm just going to do that with a pencil. To get this curve on the bottom, I mean, you can make these things square. I actually just used a little can of mink oil. Often just using whatever circular objects are closest at hand when I need them. So again, just super simple layout. I understand zippers do seem like they're a lot harder than they are, but I guarantee you, once you do one, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, why did I wait so flippin' long to do it? Just adds such a nice touch. It's good for purses, wallets. I've been making a lot of like more sort of stationary focused stuff, so like pencil cases and whatnot. Just finding the wallet scene is like a little bit oversaturated, so it's good to try different things, make different projects, stuff that not everybody's doing. This stuff's a little bit on the soft temper side. But we'll get there. And sometimes you kind of lose a corner when you're tracing your pattern, so it's not a big deal. Just line it back up, do it again. Knowing me, I was probably talking through it the whole time and just forgot to trace that one. Okay. And then we're just going to go ahead. And like I said, I just use a 1/2 inch punch. Just going to connect those 2 lines. Nice and easy. And a good practice I like to do is when you're cutting, especially with an X-Acto knife, they do have a tendency to once in a while wiggle or whatever. Cut with your disposal piece to the outside. That way if you wiggle or whatever, it's not going to affect your final piece. There we go. That took less than a minute to cut out. So we'll move on to the zipper. Again, like I said, it comes in a continual tape. So what I like to do when I'm ready is I will line it up with the hole that it's going into, and I will go grab a pair of scissors and I will just give it a rough cut. So once I've got that far, instead of trying to do a bunch of silly math and figure this all out beforehand, what I'll do is I'll take, so you need a bottom stop and then the 2 top stops. And I'll go ahead and figure out up to which teeth I need to remove to have that still fit within the hole. And we'll do it again on this side. And so I just mark them. I need to remove, those are the last teeth that I need to remove. And so to do that, what you're gonna do is take, I just use channel locks. I had them already. They're cheap at the dollar store. And you just clip these off. You wanna be careful not to clip your webbing. So again, 1 part of your clipper on the back side and 1 on the front side. And you just give it a little snip. There's tools that exist that do this. I always eyeball them at Buckle Guy when I'm doing an order. I just haven't gone ahead and ordered them yet because this is honestly super easy. And if you do find, you know, you've kind of clipped the edge a little bit, just give it a little shot with your lighter. And then we're done. The hard part. And take your time. This is like, I've installed hundreds of zippers, so I'm obviously quicker than most would be when they're just trying it out. So don't think that you have to go this fast. The brass teeth are also a little bit tougher to clip, a little bit harder of a metal than these little rainbow guys. And then I usually like to just singe the end. So this next part is really important. You want your little, so your little zipper pulls have like, it's almost like a little P shape. And so there's a little bump and you want that sticking up. So you just come along with your little zipper pull here. And just kind of work it on. Yep. Sometimes it takes a little bit of fussing. I think sometimes it also helps if that's a little bit more open. And there you go. So that's not quite lined up the way I'd wanted it. I'm just going to try it again here. There we go, perfect. So the next step is your little end stop. And so it's this little sort of H shape, and that's just going to fit on either side of your zipper tape. And then I've bought this tool. It's a CS Osborne. It's called a zipper tool. I bought it through Buckle Guy a couple of years ago. And so it's got these little teeth that saddle the zipper down real nice. So what you're going to do is get it lined up there. Just give it a little squeeze. And a second one. And then I flip it over and do the other side. And so this is a metal 8 zipper. It's quite large. It's a lot larger than you'd normally use. I usually use a 6 or a 4 for wallets. I just think it looks really cool in this sort of big chunky purse, and it's also just so you could see a little bit easier on the camera. Alrighty, and then from there, these are the little end stops. So one goes on either side. And I just get mine set up in these little pliers like this. And there you go. All done. And I'll do the second side. It's always a good idea when you're buying these little things too to buy way more than you need. They're so cheap. They're just a couple cents a piece. I've lost them in the carpet. I've shot them across the room. Sometimes you set them wrong and you have to do it again, so I've had to cut them off. But there we go. Look at that. Made a zipper. So you can also buy zippers that are pre-made. I know like the YKKs. I think Lonsdale Leather sells some pre-made. I think it's for Cagney Group or something like that that they use. But personally, I really like the Riri zippers. I have a really good friend that is a fashion and denim designer, and she told me when I was getting started out, go for Riri. They're the best zippers. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're so flippin' smooth. Like I said, I use this every day for the last 2 years. This is like maybe a little bit janky, but the liner was a little weird, but that's okay. And you know, if you're doing it out of veg tan, you can obviously tool or stamp stuff all over it. But like I said, super simple design. And I'm gonna switch angles and show you how to install this bad boy. Okay, now that that's all done, just gonna usually just keep this little guy tucked out of the way. Just gonna double check the fit, and it's perfect. So very quickly, you of course will want to, I only bevel the top edge, but I do slick the whole thing. Unless it's really fuzzy or something, it's just, I find it's not totally necessary. This definitely also needs to be sharpened. Now, on the back side, I don't like to glue zippers. I find it just makes a really big mess. I just like to use this double-sided tape. I'm sure every supplier sells something, art supplies, whatever. And I like to stay back about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe. Yeah, that's a 1/16. Just so you don't see it after you stitch. And this stuff's great. If it is visible at all, you can just peel it off. You're just wanting to hold the zipper steady while you punch and stitch. And so there's all kinds of zipper tools and things for centering these. Not really something I own. I do have a pretty good eye for centering, so I tend to just eyeball it. Personally, I mean, there's no shame against getting a little zipper tool, but for me, I just start on the back side that has the back stop there, and I just very slowly work my way along, making sure it's nice and even. I'm gonna get this little buddy out of the way. I'll usually just open it up a little bit near the end there. There we go. That's literally the hardest part of this whole thing. And you can just check the back side, make sure it's sitting nice and flat. And we're ready for stitching holes. The one thing I did wrong, well, not even did wrong, just something I prefer. Normally I prefer to mark my stitch line before I put the zipper in. Again, it's not, it's really not the end of the world if you do it this way either. It's still going to end up with the same result. It just gets a little bit dicey around the zipper pull, but the tape's strong enough that you can just kind of slide it out of the way and it's not going to affect anything. Alrighty. And then I start like just on a flat away and just start punching your holes. You can pre-mark them if you want. I've made this so many times that I know it's gonna work out evenly spaced. So I'm just gonna go for it. Oops. Perfect. There you go. Now we're gonna stitch this little baby together. So to measure my thread out, you know, generally you do 4 to 6 times the amount of stitching you need to do. I find with a zipper you're not going through a ton of material, so I keep it to 4 times and I still always have a ton of thread left over. I usually like my start and stop to be sort of at the back there. It really doesn't matter, it's totally up to you. And I know I've shown it kind of on a couple little shorts and stuff, but I do the method that Quarter Leather does. He does a how to stitch without a pony video. It's really easy to find, just search it. I found it's made me a much faster stitcher, and I also find my stitches are a lot cleaner. So I will give you, actually, I'll switch to a little bit better of an angle so I can show you guys. Okay, so here's our piece. Starting with the 2 threads at the back. This one that's in the front, you're going to pass under this one, and I lock it into place with my other fingers, so that keeps it under tension. This piece is going over, and you go up and through that hole, and then you go down through the next one. So you're always left. I find a good place to stop and start or pause or whatever you got to do is to have them both out the back side. So that way you know you grab your lead thread, toss it down and under. This one goes over and into the hole that the front one came out of. Shit. And you make sure you don't have crap all over your workbench so you're not getting tools stuck in it. And down through the next one. There you go. And so the nice thing about this way of stitching is, you know, you can, if you have a big car trip, I sit in the hammock during the summer, you can really do this anywhere because you're not stuck in a stationary place while you're stitching. Finish those little dudes off. And there you go. Now, I am going to trim these little tails a little bit just because I don't want them showing on that seam. So I'll just trim them and then give them a little bit of a melt there just to keep them from fraying. And this side is mostly okay. There's the one that's a bit longer. And this is just a small broken piece of granite. I did a reel the other day where I got asked by more than one person why I hammer my stitches flat, and it's simple. It closes up your holes, it gives it a nice, beautiful, finished look, and that's it. Look at that. It's a flippin' zipper. See? Easy. Zippers are very easy. Quit being scared of them. So, I figure it doesn't hurt to see this the whole way through. So I just use Aqualim 318. I live with somebody that is very sensitive to smells, and Barge is friggin' crazy. It stinks. So we're just gonna go ahead, do a nice little glue up here, and then I only glue about to the bottom of the zipper. As you can see, I mean, this is worn in and burnished down, but sometimes there's a little bit of a gap there, just depending on what leather you're using. So I just prefer not to have any sort of weird glue squeezing out. And it's held together well enough by the rest of it. The glue isn't really lending anything structural to this. It's just to hold it while you're stitching. And now Aqualim is a contact cement, so the best practice is to let it get tacky before you put it together. I've seen a lot of people make videos where their glue's squishing out the side and stuff. It's because they're not letting it dry properly. The whole purpose of a contact cement is it actually bonds to itself. So like I said, once you get this nice sort of clear area, you can feel it gets quite tacky to the touch, then you can glue it together and it'll stick perfectly. So I'm just going to give this a couple minutes to set. With the Aqualim, I find it doesn't take that long. You can speed it up with a hairdryer if you'd really like. Mine's who knows right now. So you're just going to give this a couple seconds, and through the magic of editing, you won't have to wait for it. All right, so as you can see, it's got that nice clear film, super tacky. Just gonna start on one side, kind of like I kind of screwed these corners up. So I'm more so going for the edges, and I can trim those a little bit. Because this leather is nice and soft, you can kind of coax it into place a little bit too. I'm just going to trim off any little sort of indiscrepancies there. There's actually not really all that much. So then, I think like 90% of this craft is just looking for the tool you put down 5 minutes ago. There we go. So I'm just going to mark my seam. And so when I'm doing a zipper, I don't like to force my stitching punch to go like right up to that line. You can see you kind of get this little bit of a roll. So what I'll do is I will go just to the point where both pieces are touching perfectly and kind of ignore that little roll. It's usually about I don't know, like a ½ inch maybe. And of course, just punch the rest of the way around. And again, when you're getting up to that line, I just go as close as I can. And make sure your pieces are lined up nicely. I'm just going to sew it together. And there we go. So the only thing left is to edge it like normal. This is just a little sanding block I got from Lee Valley. Just a nice flat surface to make sure you're sanding evenly. And then I really love, Tokonal also makes colored edge finishing cream, whatever you want to call it, burnishing cream. There's a black and a brown aside from like the regular white / like clear that everybody uses. I really love this stuff. I find it really just evens out your edge. It almost looks like it's edge painted without having to go through the immense hassle of having to edge paint something. And that's it, pals. A nice little afternoon project. Like I said, it takes maybe about an hour, but now y'all cannot be so scared of zippers. Look at that. Look at that nice little pouch. Tuck your tools in there. Obviously, I don't know if you'd really want to store all your stitching chisels in there, but you get the idea. So thanks for tuning in. Sorry it's been so long. I just had to deal with a little bit of health stuff, and I'm back. So videos will become a little bit more regular. Maybe leave any requests down in the comments. I know zippers is something that I've been asked for a little while. I'll get back into some tooling ones and stuff too, but until next time, take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be good humans. And I'll see you next time.